Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Community Platform. For the past 10 days, we have seen riots, burning tires, killing, violence. Muslims and their behavior home and abroad. Why do we behave differently in the Western world to what we would behave? Some people call it home, some people would call it their country of birth. Whether we are queuing for a bus or whether we are demonstrating for a cause, demanding social justice. Lately, we have seen American flags being burned, people being killed, property being damaged. But what is the cause? What is the cause of this? People talk about freedom of speech. Is freedom of speech only to be afforded to anyone that wishes to insult the Muslim, but not to Muslims themselves? Today, we're asking the question, do we need to retaliate insult with an insult? Is that the way forward? I often ask people, if my Prophet, my Master Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was here, standing here, would he have agreed for the assassination of the American ambassador, burning of the buildings, damage to property? I'm not sure. You tell me. The lines are open, the number is on the screen. Get involved in the conversation. Or do you think that our standards are much higher and we need to deliver on those? What are the causes that's making Muslims so angry? And how do we stand up, be counted, but without breaking the law? Today I have two young men, of course, and we're going to be speaking with them. Assalamu alaikum, Sayyid Hashmi. Welcome. You are the first time you have come on our show.
Yes, indeed, yes.
Yes, I hope that you will have a good time and get
absolutely,
involved in
absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for that.
It's good to have you. And I'm going to tell that this gentleman actually made a very interesting call last week, so we said, well, let's pull him in.
Thank you very much for that.
It's good to have you back.
Pleasure indeed.
Assalamu alaikum, Majid. And of course, everybody knows you, Majid. Everybody knows you. You need no introduction. Are you well?
Alhamdulillah, very good, yeah.
Has it been a good week?
Yeah, it's been a busy week.
It's busy. Yes.
Busy with news, busy with politics.
Yes. Yes.
Lots to think about, I think. So,
do you think that our behavior is appropriate? Do you think we behave differently in a Muslim country than we behave in a European country?
I think there are certain factors which lead to our behaviors being, we have design responses. So, in the Muslim world, the reality is quite different actually. The circumstances are quite different. The political situation is quite different from what we have here. Here you can say there is an amount of stability which everybody kind of enjoys and are therefore able then to protest in a particular way. Although there's been violent protests in this country as well, let's not be wrong with that as well. Whether it's the poll tax riots, last summer the riots there. So we can't say that these riots don't happen here and there's nothing violent about them. But in the Muslim world, the political realities are different. So in Afghanistan, when people protest, it's not just about a particular film which has been released in the US, which insults Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or the recent French cartoons, where the person said, right, okay, I'm going to deliberately draw these photographs and I want to insult Muslims. What are you going to do about it? Yeah.
You know,
so that in itself then, when Muslims in Afghanistan or Pakistan or other places, or Iraq or these places where they are standing up and they are protesting, it's not just about these issues, but there's a whole scene which has been created over the last decade. We call it the war on terror which has been launched in the Muslim world. They've seen subsequent event after event, issue after issue raised against them. So whether it's Quran burning, whether it's the desecration of Quran by US soldiers, and then in the US court they said, fine, you're actually okay. You never did much wrong there, it's okay, it's not a problem. Or whether it's the occupation of Afghanistan. So these people in Afghanistan, when they're protesting for a whole range of issues, not just one single issue where they say kind of enough is enough there. How much further are you going to take that?
I take your point, but the problem is that in the public domain, when you're showing people raving and ranting, burning flags, that's all they're seeing. The media has an objective. That's to portray.
Definitely, yeah. So it could be selective reporting. Definitely.
But it is.
Definitely selective reporting, and not every protest may appear as it is like we see on our screens.
Let's take this one caller, then I want to come back to you, Hashmi Bhai. Assalamu alaikum.
My name is Yaqub Bhai from Blackburn.
Yaqub Bhai, assalamu alaikum. Are you well, sir?
Waris, I am very fine.
Okay, what's your comment or your question, sir?
Right, I got a number of comments. The thing is, Muslim Ummah is frustrated because we don't have any leaders our leaders sold out to the West. Whatever the West wanted, they just surrender whatever if they want to within 24 hours meet, they're going to hand over to me. But if the West people something does, right, we are humiliated, we are harassed and victimized.
But Yaqub bhai, I'll stop you right there. Does that give you the right to become violent? And what the Prophet ﷺ approved?
Yeah, but the thing is, when other when other community attacked, their leader spoke about. I give you one example recently what happened in India. There was one Sikh guy who should be hanged on 31st of May, right? According to Indian government, he's a terrorist, right? Because he killed one of the Punjab chief minister. And all Sikhs united made sure this Sikh guy doesn't get hanged. Either they're religious leader or either they're political leaders, and they closed the whole Punjab and they demonstrated all over the world.
Yaqub bhai, give me a solution. We know the problem. Give me a solution. What's the solution? Quickly.
The solution is, right, our Ummah divided our Muslim community. If I stand up something for it, they will look at Yaqub bhai, which Aqidah is belong to. Doesn't matter, I stand for the Muslim issue.
You've given me the solution.
Look at my Aqidah, what Aqidah I belong to. I don't know myself, my Aqidah is, I'm a Devbandi or Barelvi. They just go target for the Aqidah. God's sake, I give the Muslim Ummah, don't believe Aqidah, just interest of the Muslim. That's what I'm saying it.
You have
Aqidah.
You have given us the solution. That's exactly what the solution is. Yaqub bhai, thank you for that call. You've hit the nail on the head. We are divided. And as long as we remain divided, we will never be together. That's a fact. Jazakallah khair and thank you for calling. Hashmi bhai, Yaqub bhai said that we're divided.
Well, it's a true thing. I mean, let's put it this way, that we already are thinking about the fact that we Muslims believe that there are about 72 different firqas.
Yeah, but this is what the Prophet ﷺ said, that you will become.
Yes.
He didn't say you have to.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. I mean, he said that I'm leaving among you the book, which is obviously Holy Quran. And just make sure that you keep a hold of that and don't get into all this tafarraqa thing. But right now, this is what's happening. I mean, right now, my brother Majid actually said that war on terror that's been happening all over the place. I believe war is terror. That is, war is terror. War is not, it's not war on terror, it's war is terror. And media is, again, as I said last week as well, it's playing a very critical part. Only showing the selective parts on the media. What's killing, what's not killing, this is the bad thing, always showing the bad thing. I keep saying this always in my lectures as well, कि आधा जो सच है वो झूठ से भी ज़्यादा खतरनाक होता है. So if you're showing the half truth, just like the recent thing that's happening about Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, and the movie that they have basically made, in that movie, they have shown some selective parts, as in terms of कि वो आधा सच दिखाया गया. अब अगर right now, if you speak about the fact that if some man goes out there and marry a 9-year-old or a 6-year-old girl, now that's it. If I just tell you that right there and then, and I'll just stop it, that just doesn't make sense. But if you go into the detail of all those things and you explain,
no, hold on. Let me stop you right there. Whose responsibility is to demystify facts from myths?
It's our responsibility.
So we're not doing it.
We are certainly not doing it.
So we're failing.
What we're doing is we are just focusing on the negative side of it by raising our voices and doing all the riots, as I said before as well. In Pakistan, obviously, something happens. If something like this happens, the only country that blocks the websites, internet, this and that, it's only Pakistan. Why?
You mean that they're cancelling the website?
Yeah, they block the websites. They block YouTube there, for instance. I mean, what I'm trying to say.
Isn't that correct?
I mean, if you're blocking it, I personally believe look, there are two things, तालीम and ilm. हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम का फरमान, इल्म हासिल करने के लिए चीन तक जाओ. He didn't mention तालीम हासिल करने के लिए चीन तक जाओ. He mentioned ilm. Ilm means shaur. Now, if you look into this matter from a broader perspective, I absolutely love that thing. What happened in London is some person or a group of people, they actually distributed 100,000 nuskhas of Quran Sharif in English language. Everywhere.
Just hold right there. Let's take this call. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Safdar from Manchester, I believe.
Walaikum Assalam. Sister, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. You have a comment, sir? A question?
Yes, I just turned over onto your channel. I was just flicking through the TV, and I just caught what your guest was saying, who is, I think he sat on your left, about the war of terror, but as he called it, I think he said, please, I don't want to misquote him. He said war is terror. I agree with that comment that he makes, that war is terror. But I think that what everybody is missing throughout the world and throughout all the TV channels is that, yes, there is a war of terror or war is terror that is taking place at the moment, but you need to have a look at who the victims are, specifically, not just as a whole. This war of terror is a war on classical Islam. If you look through Pakistan, all through North Africa, who are the ones who are suffering? It's people that follow the Sufi school of thought. Recently, and again, it's not mentioned anywhere, in Timbuktu, where you have many shrines of very many holy people who took Islam to Africa, classical writings, etc., completely and utterly terrorized, blown up by, what I called Zionist Wahhabis from the Gulf Arab states. Okay, same in Pakistan, death and destruction, fitna. Central Asia, death and destruction and fitna. And I'm really grateful that you've given me this opportunity on the TV, because nobody seems to speak out. Because at the moment, the only people that are suffering, the only people that are being shahid, the only people that are dying are Sufi classical followers of Islam. That's the only people. And where is this war starting from? It's all the money, the funding is coming from that evil Zionist state, and that is the Bid'ah state of Saudi Arabia and the Gulf Arab states.
I'm very grateful that you called.
Thank
keep
you.
watching this program. You may be very pleasantly surprised today. You may be pleasantly surprised with that you are not the only person with those views. So keep watching, but I'm grateful for your phone call. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. I'm coming back to you, Majid. You talked about the distribution of Qurans. People are distributing the Quran. Why? Why don't we live as Muslims? Why do I need to go and give somebody the Quran? Why don't I live the faith instead of talking about it? Why?
Well, it's true that this is again one of the problems that in our cultures, what I've come across is that the best thing to do is to preach. Rather than practice it, preach it.
Well, that's what the problem is.
This is exactly where the problem is.
I have no problem with people giving the Quran, but I prefer if people read the Quran and actually understood. We send our children to mosques. They read the Quran. Brilliant. Do they understand it? Well, of course not. Why would they need to understand? I'll come back to you, but I appreciate that remark. Majid, war on terror. It's so easy to blame the others. Where are we? What is it that we're doing? Why can't we get our act together? There are more than 52 Islamic nations. Not one can stand up on its own. Well, there's one that Iran recently had a conference with over 50 states. Why haven't we been able to do it?
Yeah, I think some of these are very much token gestures. So when Afghanistan bans YouTube because YouTube doesn't want to take the film off, and they say, okay, we're going to ban YouTube, Karzai is in a position where he has to do this. Otherwise, his own population is going to start resenting him that he was weak in the moment when he should have done something. So these are actions to pacify people. Similarly, Iran is no messiah for the Muslim world for definite, because that is the same state which is backing Syria, where Bashar al-Assad is murdering and slaughtering children, and Mahmoud Ahmadinejad has no problem with this, neither has Hezbollah. So these states are really what is described when I watched a lecture around about 15-20 years ago, are cartoonistic states. That's all they are. Very much, on paper, here we are, your government, but in terms of representation, in terms of doing what needs to be done for the people and for the aspirations of Islam, they are nowhere near this. This is the problem here.
Let's take this call, Majid. Assalamu alaikum. Is it Brother Latif?
Anjum, how are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah. I'm not too bad. How are you?
Are you all right? Okay. First time I'm calling your program.
Well, Mubarak.
But I felt I had to give my point of view across.
Well, I hope you're going to support us.
Today. Thanks very much.
Yes, what's your comment or a question or a suggestion?
Yeah, I'm going to get on to that now. Anjum, today I've just heard that they've made a cartoon of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. How disgusting, you know. And you've just been saying that what's the causes and what can we do about it? Anjum, are we not allowed to get angry over this? Our Muslim brothers and sisters out there are fuming, are angry. Are we not allowed to be angry over what's gone on?
But no, hold on a minute. I don't believe for a minute that we're not allowed. I think it's how are we going to channel that anger?
Yeah,
I think I have every right to be angry. Anybody says anything about my Prophet, I'm going to get very upset and very angry. But how do I channel that anger, which is constructive and not destructive?
Everybody's different, Anjum, but I mean, I'm fuming right now. I mean, I feel like picking the television up and throwing it out of the window. But I mean, that's how angry I am. And just look how the Muslim brothers and sisters feel throughout the Muslim world. We've had enough. We can't take it anymore. We've been persecuted for so many years and years upon years. We've been persecuted, and they're pushing us. They keep pushing us. They keep pushing us back. And what can we do? I mean, how can we get peace? They talk about peace and they talk about justice. Do you call this justice and peace? I don't believe this. I don't believe so. I believe they keep pushing us to cause friction throughout the world so they can get a reaction from us. And our reaction, as you know, is very, very, might not be channeled in the right way, but that's all we can do now. We can't take it anymore, and especially an attack on our Prophet, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You can attack our leaders. You've got the right to attack our leaders because they're corrupt. We believe they're corrupt anyway. But to attack our Prophet, that is the worst thing anybody can do to a Muslim. And you believe that we should be sitting there and calling each other our homes and having a cup of tea and a cake and discussing this in a peaceful manner. No, this is such a disrespect to our religion and our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can't channel our anger in any other way. We have to stand up and rise against this.
Yes, but it's how we rise. The question that I would like to ask you very quickly, just tell me, and it's got to be a yes or no. If my master, if my Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was standing right here, would he approve of the way that we are?
Definitely he would. I believe our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he would say, go and fight the infidels, kill them.
Thank you very much. Jazakallah khair. I'll speak to you soon. Well, there you are.
Okay. Now, the thing is, this is again another problem of our culture, of our society. He's right about the fact that we bring all our relatives into our house, have a cup of tea, discuss, go home, thank you very much, that's it. We can see in the past as well, any sort of thing like this happen, yeah, after 3-4 days, 5 days, 1 week, 2 weeks,
finished.
That's it, done, yeah. Now, I'm going to ask one question here. If you're going to get angry, they're going to get angry, you're going to get angry, you're going to get... So anger is just going to go up, up, and up. Now, there are numerous examples in the history, in the life of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, that he has been tortured, he has been, matlab unko kya kuch nahi kiya gaya, but he never actually said anything back. That famous वाक़या जो कि हर किसी को बताया जाता है, ताइफ का वाक़या, जिसमें पत्थर मारे गए थे. The kids were actually throwing the stones onto him, and Jibreel asked him that if you'll allow me, I'll just actually finish this entire thing. But instead he said, no, don't do that. What if one of these people, क्योंकि उस ज़माने में मैंने ये मतलब जो थोड़ा बहुत मैंने स्टडी किया, रिसर्च किया, उसमें पता चला, when people used to get curious about the fact that what Islam is and how to become a Muslim, when they go to Sahaba Ikram, तो Sahaba Ikram ये नहीं कहते थे कि 5 वक्त की नमाज पढ़ो या अरकान पूरे करोगे. What they used to say is, just do exactly what we are doing. Just copy us, and that's it. Because they were not preaching, but they were practicing it. तो उसका impact बहुत different होता है.
Let's take this call. Assalamu alaikum, brother. Welcome.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Gee, you have a comment or a question?
Two very quick comments, inshallah. First comment in terms of this particular film and these kind of cartoon aspects. I would say first and foremost, these are not intellectual, these are not historical, these are to cause people's emotions to arise.
True.
And when people's emotions arise, this is what you get. For example, these films that has been made, it doesn't challenge the intellect. It's just derogatory. It's just nasty. It's just worst kind of media as it can possibly be. The only way to respond to this kind of stuff is make horrible, nasty, disgusting, derogatory things yourself. But that's not rational. That's not human. That's not civilized. So the fact is, they're lowering the debate. And the Muslims are, because from an emotional perspective, they love the Prophet ﷺ. According to the laws of blasphemy, someone who actually, blasphemes against the Prophet through the Sharia system is sent to death. But the fact is, these kind of individuals, these minority people in the Western society are causing, people's emotion to rise up. Yes, people need to be rational. Yes, people need to be sensible. Yes, people need to be articulate. But the fact is, sometimes it can't be the case. Sometimes it takes a bit of time. So this is the initial, furore, the initial emotions of the people. And inshallah, with time, these people will realize that this, you need to give a different response to this. So the fact is, I'm not legitimizing it, I'm not condoning it, but the fact is, you need to appreciate what this is, that people are using very, 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 very derogatory ways of inciting, and I call this inciting and provocating violence, provocating people to do things that are bad. So the fact is, these people are as much to blame for what's happening, and those people are doing things, they're much to blame as well. My second comment is this, and related to this brother come from Manchester, we shouldn't divide ourselves. Classical Sufi Islam, was the Prophet a Sufi? Was he not a Sufi? Doesn't matter. He was a Muslim end of the day. So we shouldn't divide ourselves. The non-Muslims are doing this anyway. Yeah, we're already divided. Let's not divide ourselves as such. Let's get unified. Right? Sufi, non-Sufi, Salafi, Wahhabi, whatever. Right? We need to unify on the commonalities, on the general things, and this will be the solution. You're not gonna unite. You're not gonna achieve anything by disuniting yourself on the issue of fiqh ikhtilaf and so on and so forth.
Thank you so much. Your comments are always welcomed, and you're absolutely right. When is it okay for anyone to insult 1.5 million people? It isn't. The fact is that whenever it concerns Muslims, the Western governments have always been slow to react. But I think what is more important is, how do we react? I remember a case when a book that was insulting to the Jewish community came out, and within that evening, before the shops opened, every single book had been taken off the shelf. It wasn't done by anyone but the community themselves. We've seen that with Salman Rushdie, we've seen it with satanic verses. We need a strategy, and we do not have that strategy. We're going to take a short break. Stay with us, make that phone call, and we will be in a short while. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. Muslims and their behavior, and how do we behave when we are under pressure? Is violence ever a way forward? But we are not generally genetically tuned to be violent. Are people pressing the right buttons or the wrong buttons in this case? Why are we consistently and constantly under the microscope, and the governments of the free world believe in freedom of speech? What kind of freedom of speech hurts 1.6 billion people? Is that freedom of speech? I'm not sure. Is that freedom of speech?
Yeah, I mean, in their view, in the Western secular worldview, freedom of speech is sanctified, is part of the freedoms which they believe builds strong, cohesive societies where everybody is able to express themselves.
Even to hurt? Even
to hurt, yeah. So even if you look at these recent cartoons, which we've been reading reports about today morning, which have been published in a French paper.
Yes. Yes,
you know, we've got comments like, you know, even from the, it says this is, so we are not, can't guess, but they said that, you know, we're not going to apologize for this statement, for these pictures. You know, somebody wants to print them, they can print them. This is official government comments coming out on this issue. So they actually worship this idea of liberalism, and they will not allow anybody to point fingers at that. What they would like us to do, and what Western media and governments would like us to do, is to say, look at yourselves, look at your protests, look how uncivilized you guys are. We have civilized protests, which is all rubbish really. This very same freedom not only has bitten Muslims, but has also bitten the royal family.
Well,
in the name of that very same freedom.
Absolutely. Let's take this call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Ji Assalamu alaikum, sir. Do you have a comment or a question?
Yeah, well, basically, just to comment, there's a lot of this that's been going on. We've seen it with Salman Rushdie, we've seen it with the cartoon protest, we saw it with the Quran burning with this pastor Terry Jones. And what we need to realize is that, yes, Islam does lay certain rules about those who blaspheme or insult the Prophet. However, we need to understand and think about what's going on. Are we being provoked? Are the powers that be got this impression that if we insult their Prophet, this is how we cause a reaction? And should we be there ready to respond with that reaction, or the kind of reaction they expect us of, to show the world, look at them, they're rowdy again? Or should our response be more calculated and intelligent? Should we even be protesting outside US embassies? Why aren't we protesting against the Saudi embassy or the Egyptian embassy? Isn't this the time to say you should be ruling according to Islam? Why are you cutting off the oil? Why is the Suez Canal being closed? These kind of measures hit the West where it hurts. They insult our ideology by insulting Prophet ﷺ. We need to hit them in their pocket.
You know, it's Brother Muhammad Qureshi, you always make sense, but you always wind up people on Facebook too. He really does. He's really good. He's got some good, but he's absolutely right.
That's right, I think.
He's absolutely right. King Faisal, do you remember what King Faisal when he was alive? Faisal, I think it was King Faisal.
That's right, yeah.
And he said, I will burn the oil wells if I have to, and go back to eating dates.
Yeah, and these are some of the stances that need to be taken today.
Absolutely.
Without a shadow of a doubt. So, you know, when we talked about anger earlier on, you know, how should anger be directed? We said, look, there's nothing wrong with being angry.
No. Because
the reason why we're getting angry is because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's honor is being questioned here. And therefore Muslims have got to the streets.
Duty.
As a duty. But now how we should angle these and channel these angers is by questioning our own regimes, questioning our own Muslim countries, rather than burning tires, rather than, you know, destroying somebody else's property and destroying somebody else's livelihood in the process, which is not even needed.
No, it
Why
isn't.
don't you go to the government buildings and challenge them, challenge those regimes, shake them? This is what happened with the Arab Spring, didn't it? Where did it start off from? It started off from somebody who, out of desperation, burnt himself, and that was the catalyst. So why don't we make this a catalyst for places like Pakistan,
Can I blame the leaders?
We can definitely blame the leaders without a shadow of a doubt.
It's my favorite topic. Where is this leadership? Actually, how many leaders have come out and said, we're going to lead our people, we're going to have a discussion, we're going to talk, we're going to find out ways how to do this? I haven't heard them. We've had clips of certain organizations, which I will not mention right now, say this is terrible. But that's a tokenistic gesture. I have never seen such a weak leadership when it comes to situations like this.
That's right. And this is why this is a political problem. It's not an individual problem. It's not an organizational problem. It's not Muslims living in the West. It's not a problem for us that we can solve directly. We can obviously apply pressure. We can do certain actions. Fundamentally, it's a political problem. And Islam places that political responsibility on the ruling elite. And if the ruling elite are far from Islam and don't want nothing to do with Islam and believe in the very same secularism which the West is trying to promote, then there's something wrong there.
Well, they should be
and that's what the protest, they should challenge this.
Absolutely. Let's take this call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
I know that voice anywhere. Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Alawi.
Wa alaikum assalam. How are you, Sister Anju?
Alhamdulillah, I'm not too bad. Are you well?
I'm fine, alhamdulillah.
I believe you recently returned from Saudi.
Yes, I have.
I hope you're well. I
I'm
pray that
fine.
you're well. Sir, your comments are welcome. Just before you came on, we had a young person who called with reference to some of the destructions he was talking about, and I did say to him, keep watching the program, you might be pleasantly surprised. Do you think that we have the right to get angry in this way?
Absolutely. I think anyone with any faith has a right to be angry, but it's how we go about it. First and foremost, is this the character of our Prophet of killing people, burning flags? I would like to give you an example, and I'm sure that a lot of Muslims will know this example. The Abyssinian servant, the wife of Abu Sufyan, Hind, mutilated the body of Sayyidina Hamza, the beloved uncle of the Prophet. What did the Prophet do when he saw her? She came to his tent, he looked at her, and he recognized her. He forgave her. Then we go back onto the example when the Prophet ﷺ returned to Mecca after, number of years. The tribe of Quraysh were the arch enemies of Islam, as we well know. After 13 years, he returned back to Mecca, and he said, obviously the people were there waiting for him, and he said, "O people of Quraysh, what do you think I will do to you?" The Prophet then said, "Of course, I will forgive you." They responded, "Well, you are our brother, and you are generous, and you are Rahmatul lil Alameen." And he said, "Yes." Then he said to them, what Joseph said to his brothers, "There is no blame upon you. Go, for you all free." This is the character of the Prophet Muhammad. But if we move away from that slightly, it is crucial we understand that we have to protest. We have to have petitions. That clearly petitions do not work. You are well aware of this. I've been campaigning for the stop of the destruction in the Hijaz. What is happening in the Arab world or the Arab Spring, I do not call it the Arab Spring, I call it the Salafi Spring. Those people who are killing innocent people, those people who are burning flags of America or Britain are the so-called Salafis. And we know very clearly that these are the people who are inciting hatred against other faiths, be it Christian, be it Buddhism, or whatever we have it. However, at the same time, we should also remember that this movie, which was created by the Zionists, we know the cartoons have been going on for a number of years, and of course recently as well. We Muslims should know that our Prophet ﷺ is over and above that. We should know that the movie does not at any point resemble our Prophet, his character. We know the cartoons do not resemble our Prophet. So why should we be so concerned about this particular issue? We should go about lobbying our MPs. We should go to our community leaders and ask them to be able to do something in Parliament or so forth. But if we are going to go around like in a haywire and lose our brains, then we are going to be labeled as radicals, just like the House of Saud is producing.
Dr. Alawi, it's always a pleasure. Just don't go. Just stay right there for a minute. I think my young friend here, Majid.
Yeah, just to come back on some of the points that the Dr. Saab mentioned. I think we were discussing this before the break when we said that sometimes we look at Islam in a very generalized way, and sometimes we look at the Prophet's life in a very generalized way. So the situation when we talked about the Prophet ﷺ walking into Makkah was not as an individual, was with a 10,000 strong army. It was a takeover, that's the first thing. Secondly, we're talking about political asylum there. We're not talking about an individual saying, well, fine, you're okay. Political asylum, which is the responsibility of a state. The Prophet ﷺ made a particular decision, and he gave these guys asylum in the sense that he forgave them for their past doings and said you can carry on living under this state, under this authority where Islam will be
peacefully
implemented. Yeah, you can live here peacefully. Reference to the Arab Spring, I disagree with the brother. There's no such thing as a Salafi Spring. These were protests which were done right from grassroots, from various organizations, from various individuals, people who are concerned, who had been living under brutal dictatorships for the last 40 years, whose wives, husbands, children had been slaughtered by the regime just because sometimes they challenged the ruling elite on certain things. So that's why people have gone out there.
Yeah. I think we can beg to be, it's how we beg to be differ. Dr. Alawi, Jazakallah khair for your time. I'm very grateful for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum. I think there will always be difference of opinion. Again, we come back to the same thing. how do we conduct ourselves when we have differences of opinion? And I think that's where we go. We shortfall.
Yeah, I think the brother Muhammad Iqbal, he mentioned these points. Again, when we make references like Salafi and Sufi, it does us no good.
No, I agree.
It doesn't lead us anywhere.
I agree.
You actually agree upon further division. So that's why I disagreed, I think, with some of the comments.
But can I just say something at a very personal level here? I was born in Pakistan, right? Even today I am known as Mahajir. I didn't call myself a Mahajir. I was labelled. So I've come to a point where I think, heck, that's what this is what I'm recognized at. So there was an organization that became Muhajir Qawmi Movement, MQM. So sometimes you get stuck with the label, right? Not because we want to be stuck with the label. Unfortunately, when you get stuck with the label, it becomes easier to differentiate and to be able to use that. Not that it does anybody any good, you're absolutely right. Is there a solution to all this?
There surely is a solution. I mean, as far as channeling the anger, that's what you said, right?
Yeah.
If the leaders are not doing anything, if the people around us are not doing anything, then Gandhi said that be the change you want to see in the world.
Or become a dinosaur if you don't become the change.
Well, there you go. I mean, for me, it's very important, rather than pinpointing everyone, or for instance, in Pakistan, what exactly is happening right now. You said riots happening, tires burning. I mean, there are people who are on daily wages. Those are the people, if they don't earn, their kids are going to go to sleep with, hungry.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that is, wo Allah ka azab wahan se aa raha hai. That is Allah ka azab. Wo jo bachcha wahan bhooka so raha hai, wahan se azab aa raha hai. And how exactly is happening is because that you are saying that we are the Muslims, we are very angry and we need to do something about it. This is not the way you need to do something.
But we're not too sure what to do.
But if you're confused, why not you just take the things in your hand and why not you say, okay, we are going to show you what real Islam is. We're going to show you what real faith of a Muslim is. And we're going to act upon it rather.
But listen to me. Let me ask you a question. As a mother, I am much more concerned how I'm going to put bread on the table for my child. I want to know if I've got electricity. I need to know if I've got the clean uniform for my children to go to school. These are my priorities. My priorities are not what's happening in Bilawal House. My priorities is not what's happening in Washington or in London. I'm not interested. I'm interested in what is happening. And that makes me angry because I can't put food on the table.
And that's why I think the responsibility, and there are people who are in that position, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not ask about these people in terms of what they did in this situation. The famous verse of the Quran here is, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wasaha. Allah does not burden a soul more than it can bear. So in this case, Allah ta'ala in His wisdom will...
Yeah, but they have to know that, don't they?
First? They'll have to know this, definitely.
Yeah.
But the responsibility will rest upon those who did know and who had the ability to make change and didn't do so. So we should be raising our voices to the Pakistani military or the Afghanistan military or whoever has got power.
Let's take this call, Majid. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, sister. You're the first sister on our show. Thank you for calling.
I just want to make 2-3 points, please.
Please do, sister. What is your name, sorry?
My name is Mrs. Tahir from Bradford.
Okay, sister, go ahead.
First of all, I want to talk about the hate film which America produced against Muslims. And this shows that how much they hate Islam and how much they hate Muslims. And we Muslims, if we claim that we love our Prophet more than ourselves, if we claim and if we really do in our practical life, nobody will have courage to damage his personality and his dignity such a disgusting way. And how can we leave this matter when we claim that we love our Prophet more than ourselves? And whether, look what is today America is doing with Muslims, whether it's overthrowing the regimes, whether it's drone attack, it shows America's double standard everywhere. Look at what he's doing in Bahrain.
But sister, let me stop you there. The American drone attacks are happening is because we are allowing them to happen. Why aren't the people of Pakistan marching to Bilawal House and saying, we will not accept this? It's all very well to point fingers to America and said, you're doing this, when our own government is allowing that to happen.
Hello?
Hello, sister, can you hear me?
What I'm saying, we allow our leaders, when we allow our leaders who represent 99% of our Muslim nation in Pakistan. When they don't know how to read Surah Ikhlas, and they are representing Muslims, and how can we allow them? At least we should define some characteristics in them that they should have to lead us, because if they don't have minimum qualities in their characters, they're not supposed to lead us. And if they serve our enemies' interest, and they assist them, so we should do something about them.
You're very right, sister. Maybe we are as good as our leaders, and our leaders are as good as we are. I appreciate your call, sister. Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much. Well?
Yeah, let's pinpoint our anger, our frustration, and walk to these places, march to these places, and ask for the removal of these regimes, simply.
Absolutely.
And what we don't want is somebody else to come forward and do exactly the same thing, which is mimic and copycat Western ideals and talk about having more freedoms in Pakistan, and then having scenarios like these, and then questioning what's gone wrong in our society then. Okay, so we need a very clear plan which needs to be based upon Islam. We need a political thinking and a way forward which needs to be based upon Islam. We need a leadership which rules by Islam, has the interests of Islam at stake, and protects even the minorities, whether they are Christians, whether they are Jews, whether they are people who are atheists or of other faiths, or Hindus or Sikhs who are living in these Muslim countries, that we demonstrate that, look, this is how you look after citizens, this is how you honor and value other people's faiths, by giving them, first of all, the justice of Islam, and secondly, living side by side in peace. And any Muslim who does this in terms of make inflammatory comments which strikes discord between communities, that Muslim is punishable.
Absolutely, you've hit something very important. I want to come back to that. Let's take this call. It's probably your last call. Assalamu alaikum. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. I think the line's dropped. Do call again. Minorities you talk about. They say that a country is judged by how the country's character is judged according to how it treats its minorities. Well, I can tell you something. Are we treating our minorities? Let's just take an example of Pakistan, for instance. Are we treating our minorities? How are we judging them?
Yeah, I mean, under a secular state, like we have now, these are the consequences that we are the fruits that we've got at the moment, where minorities will suffer because there's no cohesive program for that society which is based upon Islam, which will offer them that true justice, and through which we can then exemplify, like we've been talking about, when we talk about practicing Islam. On an individual level we can do this, but on a political, on a state, on a governmental, on an educational, on a social level, these are the responsibilities of a government to do this.
There's a problem, we can't certainly...
I'm going to stop you right there. I'm so sorry, because when you're having a good time, time goes fast. Boys, I'm really grateful to you. I want to add with something that was said by human rights, Islamic human rights. And I just want to read that, and to me, it makes sense. Muslims are facing a torrent of Islamophobic, racist abuse, the level of which was only witnessed towards the Jews of Europe before the Holocaust. We need to stand up against Islamophobia before it's too late. Now, for me, there's a message in there. We need to dissect that message peacefully. We have to live the high standards. Don't defend the prophets in ways that would offend the prophet. I did not say that. I'm not capable of saying that. It was said by few scholars. But don't defend the Prophet in ways that would offend the Prophet. We have to defend the Prophet in the best ways. I am very grateful for you for joining me. Join me next week. Until then, look after yourself and your neighbors, whoever they may be. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.